of recent seizures of illicit firearms with false declaration. Adding their voices to the subject, guests on Good Morning Nigeria, including security agencies, agree that more needs to be done to further secure the country's borders and deal decisively with smugglers of firearms.
So if somebody is sure that if he's arrested, if he commits offense, he will be arrested, and it's not to stop at arrest, he's prosecuted. And that prosecution is done diligently to the extent that the person is sent to jail, no matter the punishment. This is the thing that deters people from committing crime.
The various security agencies, starting from the custom that is in charge of the border, needs to expand its horizon, work closely with the other paramilitary and security departments in the country. If possible, have a shared database, and I think the police needs to drive this. Keep a database of the weapons that are in circulation, keep a database of the so-called importers, keep a database of the countries that these weapons are being imported from. And then, of course, the various other organizations can key into this database with the various information they have, and that is how intelligence is developed.
The intelligence unit of Nigerian Customs has been reinvigorated, and it is now functioning, and that is why we are able to have the second and the third interceptions of these firearms.
Raiding of criminal hideouts is being sustained because that's the only solution. After you have gathered enough intelligence about the location of certain weapons, your intelligent personnel will equally be on ground when you conduct the raid so that you will be able to get the appropriate person arrested and mop up this hand.
In addition, private and business law specialist Ibrahim Abdullahi says the laws of firearms need to be reviewed to reflect current realities, while corruption in the security agencies should be tackled.
If we do not stem corruption, corruption will prevent this country from stemming the tide of proliferation of small arms and light weapons. And I'm proposing that the National Assembly should impose a death sentence for whosoever illegally imports into this country prohibited arms.
The guests are optimistic that if these are done, proliferation of firearms will be a thing of the past. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
Well, good enough. Something else is about to happen about this, as the House of Representatives has resolved to invite the Nigeria Customs Service and the Department of State Security Service over what it describes as the increasing influx of small arms and light weapons into the country. This is sequel to a motion of urgent public importance moved by Representative Obinna Chidoka. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo has more on that.
Well, members of the House of Representatives observed that this year, over 2,000 firearms have been smuggled into the country, which were intercepted by the Nigerian Customs Service.
They expressed worry that this might lead to breakdown of national security if not checked.
Call on the Nigerian Customs Service and other regulatory agencies to intensify port checks to control the influx of small arms and light weapons into the country.
If there's a way to track all the arms that are littered over all the places, maybe it will help, because the ones that have been licensed and the ones that are not, you don't even know which one is which.
Take this matter very, very serious. Otherwise, if care is not taken, the kind of revolution we'll be looking for in this nation, it will be so disastrous.
I think that the problems of proliferation of small arms and light weapons is more widespread, is more critical, and is more hydra-headed than the ones that have been intercepted.
Who are the suppliers of these arms, and who are the people importing these arms? Definitely the people importing these arms have a lot of resources, and they must have some very serious intentions.
Another motion of urgent public importance was moved by Representative Ayodeji Joseph on the need to address the persistent gridlock along Apapa axis, which has obstructed business activities in Lagos State.
Also mandate the House Committee on Petroleum Downstream to liaise with NNPC so as to ensure only tankers with authority to load be allowed to go into Apapa.
The House received the report of its ad hoc committee on the investigation of the huge debt owed the Pipelines and Product Marketing Company, PPMC, by major and independent oil marketers from chairman of the committee, Representative Abdullahi Mahmood Gaya. A bill for an act to amend the Nigerian Television Authority Act and 21 other bills were passed for first reading. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Well, fighting terrorism like that of proliferation of arms should not be left to one. It should be a fight for all. This seems to be the vibe Nigeria is getting in recent times as she continues military operations to degrade and eliminate the Boko Haram sect. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma tells us more.
Though Boko Haram insurgency began in 2009, the traumatic escalation of violence by the terrorist group in 2014, with over 10,000 people killed, forced the Nigerian government to seek assistance from countries like the United States of America and others. But it never yielded results, even in the purchase of arms and ammunition. However, the persistence of the present administration saw Nigeria take delivery of 2 Mi-35M combat helicopters from Russia in January this year, with another 10 to be delivered by the end of 2018. In August this year, President Donald Trump of the United States approved the sale of 12 high-tech attack aircraft known as the Super Tucano. Most recently is the donation of 200 armored fighting vehicles to Nigeria by the King of Jordan, Abdullah bin al-Hussein, with a further promise to also supply helicopters. Commander, Jordanian Royal Air Force, Major General Yusuf Al-Naiti, is in Nigeria to fine-tune other aspects of military assistance.
The cooperation will be in everything, logistic, spare parts, training for pilots.
While this is ongoing, the navies of Nigeria and South Africa are fashioning out new strategies to further enhance the security of their territorial waters for socio-economic development through the revitalization and sustenance of the African Navy's Sea Power Symposium. This is the message of the Chief of South African Navy, Vice Admiral Mosiwa Shilongwane, as he visits the Chief of Defense Staff and other service chiefs.
We have common challenges as the navies.
I want to also use this opportunity to really thank the South African government for the training conducted for our special forces.
We are going to further explore areas that our two navies will develop capacities to be able to confront the myriads of challenges that face our navies.
Global terrorism cannot be resolved by a single nation, no matter how powerful that nation is. What is required is partnerships. What is required is for us to understand that terrorism knows no borders.
Thank you very much.
While the ground forces continue mop-up operations around the Sambisa general area, the Air Force sustaining its airstrikes and the Navy taking charge of the Lake Chad region. With collaborations as this and the supply of military hardware from friendly countries, the Nigerian Armed Forces hierarchy is optimistic that the end of Boko Haram is near. From the Defense Headquarters, Abuja, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
And away from the fight against insurgency, the Northeast Zonal Meeting of True Federalism was held in Bauchi, the Bauchi state capital. Organized at the instance of the National Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress, APC, the gathering availed public, private and faith-based groups the opportunity to submit memoranda on their positions on calls for restructuring of Nigeria. Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad was there and now reports.
We are therefore proposing the parliamentary system of government as an alternative. This is observed to be less expensive.
Our lawmakers couldn't review the constitution to make it truly the voices of the people.
These are the views and opinions of stakeholders at the Northeastern Public Meeting on True Federalism. With the same ideology and thoughts over the call for restructuring and/or separation of Nigeria, groups at the forum believe that review of some sections of the Nigerian constitution will provide a level playing ground for the growth and development of all the geopolitical zones of the country.
They are aimed at finding a lasting solution to the nation's multifaceted challenges.
The present renewed agitations for restructuring was due to injustice, corruption, sentiment by our previous government.
We recognize the fact that there are a lot of youth who
may not have had the opportunity to express their own views and comments in the past.
Having made their positions known, stakeholders at the forum appealed to the committee to engender credibility and broad acceptance. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Now, for decades, Nigeria has been faced with a series of crises and conflicts ranging from insurgency to various agitations from interest groups. These developments in no measure portend danger to the nation's corporate existence. Proffering solutions to those issues that fuel unrest is the focus of this report by Chika Okori.
About 47 years ago, Nigeria recorded an unquantifiable loss in terms of human and capital resources occasioned by the Civil War. Till date, no party to the armed conflict has recovered. In view of some contending global issues like security, disease epidemic, and harsh economic realities, championing any cause that could spur another dark spot in the polity, opinion leaders say is unnecessary and avoidable. The Vice President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Professor Chigozie Ogbu, who expressed optimism on the indivisibility of the nation, called for the amendments of the 1999 Constitution to reflect true federalism.
The restructuring for some people means vision of the country. That's not true. The restructuring is essentially looking at the way we live, our politics, our economy.
Apart from the clamor for restructuring, other respondents stressed the need for agitators to be cautious of their actions and utterances to avoid plugging the country into another civil war.
You have to know whether they are being used for some people's self-aggrandizement or selfish interest, or whether those people that are using them are genuine and sincere.
Since the majority is clamoring for restructuring, let us go restructuring.
Since peace is a catalyst for unity and development, the opinion poll maintained that all hands must be on deck at ensuring that the nation's diversities are seen as tools for strength and cohesion in Abakaliki. Chika Okori, NTA News.
Now, there is no doubt that across the world, the issue of refugee, migrants, and internally displaced persons, IDPs, is a topic that cannot be ignored. Nigeria has had its own fair share of cases of displaced persons, and with the consequences of terror and forces of nature all too clear. Now, to meet up with these challenges, the Senate at today's plenary presented for second reading a bill that is designed to spearhead on these present-day realities of displacement. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adeguloyi has the details.
These are just some of the faces of those whose lives have been ravaged by conflict, natural disasters, and other unforeseen set of circumstances. Now, the senators have identified the National Commission for Refugees Act of 2004 as wholly inadequate to deal with such numbers, and as such have passed for second reading its repeal and enactment of the National Commission for IDPs, Migrants and Refugees.
On a global scale, Nigeria is ranked next to Syria with 6.5 million IDPs.
We know that of recent, we have several, if not thousands, of our citizens who are internally displaced people in this country as a result of conflicts, particularly the Boko Haram crisis. And we have debated severally in this chamber on how agencies that are dealing or working to provide succor to these people are working in an uncoordinated manner.
Also passing for second reading was a bill for an act to regulate the manufacture, importation, distribution and quality control of fertilizer in Nigeria, sponsored by Senator representing Nasarawa West Abdullahi Adamu.
Nigeria has extensive areas of arable land suitable for agriculture, but productivity is low due to nutrient depletion as a result of continuous cropping without or with very little application of fertilizer.
A bill that raised much debate was that for an act to amend the Firearms Act of 2004 to provide for increase of fine and destruction of firearms illegally imported into Nigeria or in possession of those without a valid license.
The best way to find answers to those issues is through a public hearing, really, that to give us that, and then we now know where we should go from there.
Others passed for second reading include a bill to amend the Nigerian Institute of Management Act 2003, a bill to amend the Border Communities Development Agency, and that to establish the Nigeria Police Development Fund. In another development, Senate President Bukola Saraki and Speaker House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara had an interactive session with the Inter-Parliamentary Union Young Parliamentarians Forum. The theme was Empowering the Youths, Enhancing Political Participation for More Inclusive and Peaceful Societies. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adigunloye, NTA News.
And away from the National Assembly, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, says that sustainability of tourism is to achieve its full potentials, which includes being a catalyst for economic growth and poverty eradication. In a statement to mark the 2017 World Tourism Day, the minister says, without sustainability, the full benefits of tourism cannot be harnessed. With this year's theme, Sustainable Tourism Tool for Development, the minister says member states of the UN World Tourism Organization are encouraged to ensure their policies and actions for tourism development and management fully embraces the principle of sustainability in the context of the Universal 2030 target by the United Nations, especially now that tourism generates 10% of the world's GDP, 1 in every 10 jobs, and 30% of world trade in service. He said while government will play its part in the development and management of tourism and in making it more sustainable, the real key to making Nigeria's tourism industry flourish lies with the industry itself and the businesses and organizations at its heart. You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Disaster management and agri-stories when we come back. For now, let's take our first break.
From 1967 to 1970, Nigeria went through a horrifying civil war. It didn't matter who was wrong or right. Everybody suffered. Those who fought that war say it should never happen again.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise, the dead would have been to no avail, would all have been in vain.
The words of our elders are full of wisdom.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Come, sisters, I got some special discount on data.
No mind, sister. I go give you cheaper data. Aha, sister. Now we get your bonga data for here.
Hold on. Obago, everybody will enter. There's no need to rush.
Now, so there's more than enough data for everyone, eh? Pepper then gang. Now, so you have every night, pepper then the other for the data.
Excuse me, ladies first.
It's free data time for all Glow subscribers. Get 200 MB free data with free data day. Simply use 100 MB data plus 150 naira on voice calls or 250 naira on voice calls the preceding week to qualify. The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data. Thursday, September 28th is free data day nationwide. With Glow Overload, get 200 MB free data and make something happen.
Hey, now who they here? My name now Mr. Shortcut. I dey mind my money. Now cheap one I dey buy. Standard, we say. Now to buy cheap one. Hey, now one kind couple for my yard. A cheap building material where we take build my office. I think say I dey save money. Office building collapse and fire burn my house.
You don't see what happened to Mr. Shortcut? Well, Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, don't ready for action and say enough of pain, loss and wastage. And if you see product where no dey correct, call the SON office when near you or SON help desk. Standards Organization of Nigeria, improving life through standards.
Availability, check. Confidentiality, check. Integrity, check. Transformation in action. The 6 years of Governor Abdul Aziz Abubakar Yari in Zamfara State clearly manifest good governance and foresight. In fact, transforming the agrarian state to the promised land. Welcome to Zamfara, a state being governed by a visionary and dynamic leader whose magic finger is touching every aspect of human lives. No wonder Abdul Aziz Yari is being referred as agent of Buhari's change mantra. Yari is bringing development closer to the Zamfara people and the nation at large. Zamfara, the pride of the nation. This message is brought to you by Iowa Media Group.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Welcome. Welcome to the land of Sahel Savannah, of rolling hills and open plains, the land of emirs and eminent personalities, of the Daba and ancient festivals, polo players and traditional boxers. Welcome to Katsina State, the most hospitable state in Nigeria, land of highly educated and dependable labor force, of warmth, receptive and colorful people and places, of food and delicacies untold, the land with hidden treasures of gold and precious metals, a vibrant and attractive economy. Welcome to Katsina State. Let's celebrate Katsina at 30. Investors' next destination.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant. To achieve our creed as we promise, we shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris.
Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility.
This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
Glad to have you back with us. This is NTA News Extra, reaching you live from the network service of the NTA. Now, available statistics show that in the past 20 years, natural disasters have affected at least 800 million people, caused over 3 million deaths, and destroyed property worth billions of dollars. More worrisome is reports that at least 70 million people are vulnerable in disaster-prone areas in the developing world. Quite alarming, you will agree. And given the incidences of natural disasters that appear to be on the increase, like erosion and flooding, the recent cases of Kogi and Benue readily comes to mind on the heels of the 2017 massive floods. Well, discussants on NTA's Current Affairs program, Tuesday Live, say hope is not lost, particularly with concerted efforts to mitigate natural disasters in Nigeria. It's over now to Talatu Ezirike.
Natural disaster, a global challenge, could be flooding, earthquake, or fire. They impact negatively on the socio-economic well-being of nations.
There are therefore apprehension over incidents of natural disaster that appear to be on the increase.
Nigeria, for instance, faces problems of flooding, erosion, and tremor nearly on a yearly basis.
Very much afraid of what happened in 2012 because of the flooding. It was terrible. We don't want a repetition of it.
Analysts say the narratives of poor preparedness or response and non-judicious use of ecological fund by states for disaster management are fast becoming history. This, they say, is evident with proactive steps taken by states like Kogi in aligning with federal government prudence management with the overall goal of mitigating natural disasters.
As we speak, we are expecting not less than 5 fire trucks, and then the process of refurbishing and renovating the existing fire service are ongoing. What happened recently in Benue, Lokoja, Kogi State is even worse hit, but with our early preparation for that, we were able to mitigate the effects.
Some of the laws we have might not be in sync with the modern realities of today. So what we need to do is to amend those laws. One of the bills I moved was to have a flood and erosion control commission.
There are much more.
The more dams we have in Nigeria, the more we can check flooding. For instance, when Cameroon began to build the Lagdo Dam in the early 80s, that single dam alone, the capacity is more than Kainji, Jeba, and Shiroro put together.
If you can construct a large bridge to link Lokoja to the part of Basengeland, for instance, I want to assure you that with adequate infrastructure, a number of people can find it convenient to move towards that location.
It is generally agreed that right steps are being taken in mitigating and managing natural disaster in the country. Talatu Ezirike, NTA News.
Many thanks, Talatu. Well, one of the states of north-central Nigeria may just be living up to its name. Well, if you're guessing, let me spare you the stress. It is Nasarawa State and its capital, Lafia. The name Nasarawa and Lafia put together simply means a victorious people in a state of well-being. Beyond the connotative interpretation of the names is the desire of the people for government to sustain the increasing access to basic health care for women and children, especially in rural communities. Joshua Ojito takes us through this story.
For little Salamatu, bubbling with life is a good sign that all may be well. However, even at this stage of her life, Mother Nature has endowed her with instincts to cry out for needs and challenges. One very crucial is access to quality health care for her and many others, as well as their mothers, whose chunk of population live in rural communities of Nasarawa State.
We want him to provide us more things, more equipment for this clinic.
Here in the laboratory, we are lacking a lot of things in laboratory.
The state has been working to reduce the incidences of high child mortality and well-being of the people arising from challenges of healthcare system. Construction of new primary healthcare centers such as these in a suburb of Lafia, the state capital, rehabilitation of other ones in rural communities, as well as equipping them with facilities to meet the health needs of the people in rural areas are some of the state government interventions.
If we can man them, care for them and provide enough facilities, we will be able to ward off more serious and disastrous ailments.
Securing partnership is crucial as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation came with a grant of $500,000.
The guidelines attached to the grant clearly specifies that the grant should be used in the hinterland, places where people find it difficult to access healthcare support.
Result-based financing is a new approach in health system.
As governments seek increased funding to tackle challenges, sector players say implementation of programs should be followed up with prudent management of scarce resources. In Lafia, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
And to agriculture. 67 communities have so far benefited from the Northeast Food Security and Livelihood Emergency Support of the Fadama 3 Additional Financing, a World Bank support project. National Fadama Coordinating Officer, Mrs. Olubusayo Awotunde, announced this during a technical assistance visit to Taraba State. Awal Abdullahi has the details of that story.
Fadama is a World Bank assisted program designed to enhance livelihood through agriculture and allied products. The program came out with the Northeast Food Security and Livelihood Support Project to rekindle hope to various communities that were affected by insurgency, where over 4,000 households were given food assistance and livelihood support through livestock and crop production. To ensure the household benefits from the gesture, a workshop was organized on how to drive more economic gains from the program.
They were affected by this Boko Haram crisis, so their confidence has gone down.
We'll be able to keep record of all the activities from those that have livestock support and those that have the crop aspect.
We have step-down training from the community representative down to the grassroots, down to even non-Fadama communities.
The beneficiaries say Fadama has done it all for them.
We get food assistance. I feed my children and my neighbors.
As I am talking to you, I have 5 acres of land that I have grown soya beans thanks to Fadama.
For the first time in my life, I recorded a bumper harvest. Before, I could not afford that.
In Yola, Tafawa, Hamza Mayo, NTA News.
The increased yield per hectare rind rice production in Wushishi local government area of Niger State has rubbed off on the neighboring communities. This has added value to their livelihood as everyone has something to do during harvest, adding value to the lives of both the young and the old. Rose Gia, just back from the rice-producing community, reports that there is division of labor among farmers.
Siting of the Tungankao Dam in Wushishi local government area of Niger State by the federal government was never a misplaced priority, given the large expanse of arable land amounting to about 900 hectares available for cultivation of rice. Growing rice thrice every year under irrigation and in rainy season, farmers in Wushishi and adjoining communities are busy all year round, more so that technology has improved their yield per hectare. This has created job opportunities for both men and women, young and old, who participate in the value chain. While men are engaged in farming, the youth harvest at a fee, while women thresh and provide labor for the movement of produce for bargain. Farming, which hitherto was perceived mainly for the old folks, is today appreciated by the youth, as described by Aminu Ndakwegi, a youth-turned-lead farmer.
Since when the federal government intervened and provide very technical service to the farmers, majority of them, it has reduced the number of even the political prostitutes. They are now self-reliant. Graduates, they don't even bother searching for jobs anywhere. They take it as part of their business now.
From harvesting to threshing, then labor provided by women who are paid in kind with measures of produce for lifting bags from farm to bagging point. Efforts are made to lift bags as much as possible for valued proceeds.
I have carried 2 bags. I buy wares after selling the produce they gave us. They pay us with measures of paddy rice. Sometimes I carry 4 to 5 bags. We are paid according to the number of bags carried.
I am a farmer, but I also bag and sew. I make 100 naira per bag. From the proceeds, I feed well with my family.
While transporters make themselves available to move them at a cost, some traders buy off directly from the farm.
I transport the bag paddy for farmers and traders to warehouses at agreed cost.
Nothing is, however, wasted on the farm, as the threshers still have opportunity of rethreshing products of the farm from where they collect leftovers.
Then I go after the leftovers, retrash and collect the rice. We add them, sell and buy what we need.
It is pertinent, therefore, to note that rice production in this area is changing life for the better and should be encouraged by the government at all levels. Rose Gia, NT News.
And now to fishing. Statistics from the Fisheries Societies of Nigeria and the Food and Agricultural Organization place fisheries as a vital component of the Nigerian agriculture, providing employment to millions and contributing about 50% of the animal protein intake. In this next report, Ado Adamu Also examines the potentials of fisheries in Yauri Emirate of Kebbi State.
The national demand for fish, going by the records of the Fisheries Society of Nigeria, is over 2.6 million metric tons with a wholesale value of more than $1.5 billion. Local production, however, is put at about 700,000 metric tons, leaving the country to rely on importation to bridge the wide gap. Strategically placed with enormous potentials to help Nigeria meet her fish consumption need is Yauri in Kebbi State. Aquaculture is a very promising aspect of the economically viable Yauri. Yauri remains a center of events as fish traders from different African countries every 4 days throng the ancient town which lies at the bank of River Niger for the booming fish business. The fish, which comes in different species, are not only affordable, going by the testimony of the dealers, but also of high nutritious value.
30 to 40% of the fish produced in Nigeria is produced from Yauri Emirate.
This is an international market. People from various places outside the country and even within the country are coming to this market and patronize the fish here.
The business in Yauri, we really thank God. The business is moving.
The fish are cheaper price.
Yauri market has been the best to supply fish to various areas in this our country.
On the whole, what could be the health benefits?
When you are getting old, you need to change your diet, and fish is one of those ingredients that supply stable nutrient to our body.
The Emir of Yauri, Dr. Zayano Abdullahi Muhammad, is providing the enabling environment for business to strive through his quality leadership style.
It's a new Nigeria, where people from all over the country coming here since time immemorial. So we learn the art of coexistence, peaceful coexistence.
General opinion confirms Yauri has a potentially viable economic hub, especially in fisheries subsector, but should be harnessed for the needed return on investment to be attained.
From Yauri in Kebbi State, Ado Adamu Also, NTA News.
Thank you very much. And joining me now to talk more about agriculture financing is the Executive Director, Partnership and Strategy, Bank of Agriculture, Dr. Gabriel Okenwa MON. We're glad to have you in our studios.
Thank you.
Now, can you tell us some of the critical issues the bank is working on now to help, develop farmers' to develop their and increase their yields?
Well, let me say it confidently, with all sense of responsibility and humility, that Bank of Agriculture is fully alive to deliver on its mandate. This was made possible recently by Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, graciously appointing for the very first time in the annals of the history of the bank, professional bankers to take full charge and do the needful.
Okay.
Truly, a lot is being done. The passion, the commitment, the sincerity of purpose of government is just what we are taking to run. From the Ministry of Agriculture, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, ably led by the Honorable Minister, Chief Audogbe, and the Minister of State, Senator Lukbobiri. They are so passionate about agriculture, and they have given us the mandate and all the other partners and all the other stakeholders, CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, and Ministry of Finance, Federal Ministry of Finance. How have they done this? From the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, we have what we call the equipment support, and they also have what they call the National Egg Production Scheme. These things are coming on board. Then the Agricultural Mechanization Scheme is another way of supporting farmers.
Okay.
No. Like I said earlier, the National Egg Production Scheme is coming on board, and the pilot scheme is going to be done in the 6 geopolitical zones, taking each state as a pilot. Now, from the central bank, we have what we call the Anchor Borrowers Program. Anchor Borrowers Program is a program that's been designed by CBN in partnership with Bank of Agriculture, using Bank of Agriculture as the platform to reach the rural farmers. Okay. You know, the states are being called upon to kind of register their farmers. Okay. And from farmers registration, the states form what we call the project monitoring team, made up of the Central Bank of Nigeria Development Finance Officer in that locality, and the Commissioner of Finance. Also, farmer groups, that is, they form cooperative societies. Then they source for what they call the anchors, the anchor, that's the off-takers, and also the input suppliers. What are the input suppliers? These are people that bring the fertilizer, the seed, and the chemical.
Okay, clearly farmers have a lot to expect from the Bank of Agriculture now.
Yes.
Okay, you just came back from China.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the learning points, and how do you intend to bring them to bear on the agricultural sector in Nigeria?
Great, wonderful. I was sent to China to study the Agricultural Bank of China, and also attend a Huawei conference that took place in China some days back. The learning point is huge and unprecedented, truly. China adopted their Agricultural Bank of China, ABC, as the farmers' bank. The farmers also share and own, they own shares in the bank. And most importantly, they opened branches in all the counties, what we call local governments. For us here, we have adopted that, and the Minister of Agriculture has taken up the bold initiative to get CBN to give us a license to open up branches in all the 774 local government areas in this country. In fact, we have contacted Abia State government. The Abia State governor has even written to the local government, and other states are following suit. a lot is going to be achieved in this process. We are going to employ so many people.
Okay.
It is going
That's
to be
good
huge.
news.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Executive Director, Partnership and Strategy, Bank of Agriculture, Dr. Gabriel Okenwa. Moving on in the news, the race to the national chairmanship contest of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, begins as candidates unveiled their agenda to further the interests of the party to victory. A former Minister of Education, Professor Tunde Adeniro, while making a formal declaration at a ceremony in Abuja, promised to return the party to the people. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Birninkudu has that report.
It is my singular privilege.
It was at this non-elective national convention in August this year, PDP members resolved to hold national convention that will provide new leadership after about 2 years in crisis. Having zoned the office of the national chairman of the party to the south, Professor Tunde Adeniran has joined the race. His former declaration turned out to be a platform for reassessment by party leaders towards what they call new PDP.
When I say we should show remorse, it means that we must now realize that we will not go back to our old ways of doing things again. We must do things right. The voice of the people must count now. The voice of the people must be heard because the voice of the people is the voice of God.
Then the candidate unveiled his agenda.
We work to reaffirm and entrench the founding principles of our great party and rejuvenate it to its original state of strength, devoid of the cankerworm of impunity.
Character. We are focused on character. We are focused on consistency. We are focused on someone who knows the mission and the visions of the founding fathers of the party.
The National Caretaker Committee of the party has fixed December 9 as tentative date for the National Convention, which political observers say will be a testing ground for the success of the current reconciliation and repositioning of the party. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba NTA News.
Time now for another short break. Business news and related stories when we come back in just a moment. Join us again.
Come, sisters, I got some special discount on data.
No mind, my sister. I will give you cheaper data. Aha, sister. Now we get your bonga data for here.
Plenty data. Hold on. Obago, everybody will enter. There's no need to rush.
Now, so there's more than enough data for everyone, eh? Pepper them gang. Now, so you have every night you're about pepper them the for the data.
Excuse me, ladies first.
It's free data time for all Glow subscribers. Get 200 MB free data with free data day. Simply use 100 MB data plus 150 naira on voice calls or 250 naira on voice calls the preceding week to qualify. The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data. Thursday, September 28th is free data day nationwide. With Glow Overload, get 200 MB free data and make something happen.
Where innovation begins. The Brain, LG Inverter Technology. Better performance. More energy savings. Now in the entire lineup at LG.
Close-Up has active zinc mouthwash to clean the deep corners of your mouth. And Micro Shine Crystals. Stay closer for longer with 12 hours of fresh breath and a beautiful white smile. Close-Up, Nigeria's #1 selling toothpaste.
We want to buy Indomie noodles. 4 packs, please.
Yo.
This is not my Indomie. Please, sir, if it's not Indomie, don't call it Indomie.
Sir, the taste is the difference. The difference is in the taste. That's why my brothers, my mommy, my daddy, and I all
delicious, so very delicious Indomie noodles. The difference is the taste.
Taste is the difference.
Yes, difference is in the taste. Nothing tastes like my Indomie.
Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
Win a share of 100 million naira with Malta Guinness. Find your code. SMS it with your name to 32011. 1 million naira plus cash and airtime prizes to be won every week. Malta Guinness. Let's go.
The President, General Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, His Eminence, Al-Hajj Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, CFR MNI, the Sultan of Sokoto, invites the general public to the formal Islamic program to mark the 57th Independence Anniversary. Topic: Post-recession management of the Nigerian economy. Islamic Principles Antidote. Date: Friday the 29th of September 2017. Venue: Conference Hall National Mosque, Abuja. Time 12 p.m. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbanjo, SAN GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Chief host, Malam Muhammad Musa Bello, Honorable Minister of Federal Capital Territory. Guest speaker, Alhaji Ahmed Babatunde Popola, FCA. Guests of honor, Muslim ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. After the lecture, special Jumu'ah prayer will be held at the National Mosque, Abuja.
It's good to know that you're out there watching News Extra tonight. Now we begin with a story from Ogun State, which says that the government says it will continue to engage development partners and agencies to actualize its developmental policies and programs. The state governor, Ibikule Amusu, stated this while receiving a team from the German Agency for International Cooperation in Abeokuta, the state capital. Lekon Agbonde has that report.
The governor, who described the contributions of development agencies to the success of his administration, said the German Agency for International Cooperation still has a lot more to do to assist the state government. He urged the agency to assist the state in the areas of capacity development, education, agriculture, and infrastructure development. Governor Amosu promised that the government would not take the support of development partners for granted, saying more resources will be committed towards the development of the economy.
This is my position that please help us to develop our capacity. Tell us what you think we can improve upon. Yes, those ones that we are doing well, you'll be happy that yes, you have somehow been able to pass that across to us and that we are getting those ones right.
The head of West African Division, GIZ headquarters, Mrs. Elashiba, said she was in the country for first-hand assessment of the situation in Nigeria. She noted that the agency was interested in assisting the state government to achieve development in the areas of agriculture and vocational development. Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
Towards capturing changes in inflation and exchange rebate in tariffs, reviews and adjustments, the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NIREC, has interfaced with stakeholders on how best to review the metering system. Onengie Fineface in Port Harcourt tells us that the forum advanced changes in the sector to protect everyone, including end users, towards ending estimated billing system.
The NERC Stakeholders Forum seeks to consult relevant partners in the energy and power sectors to determine how often it needs to conduct minor reviews affecting tariffs and other flexible cost assumptions, consider the frequency of implementing outcomes of the reviews on end users, as well as revenue changes arising from actual versus projected power generated and distributed. The forum is also one of several processes required by law for NERC to implement any policy changes.
We issue a consultation paper
get comment from that consultation paper. After getting comment on that consultation paper, we now have public hearings like this. We get the public hearings, and it guides what we do going forward and the regulations that get formed thereafter.
Some recommendations made by stakeholders at the forum include the need for the federal government to reduce the cost of energy production through investments in alternative renewable energy sources, improved service delivery on the part of distribution and transmission companies, customer information and inclusion in policy frameworks and reviews, as well as tariff regime consistency.
You don't have the services, and yet you are paying bill. And apart from that, they are still insisting to review it every month.
Available power should not be what the DISCO decides to take and sell to its customers, but it should be further upstream. What does the generation company have to give to the country? That is what available power should be.
The two-day forum also considers business continuity regulations, metering solutions, and customer satisfaction requirements. In Port Harcourt, Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
Thank you, Onengie. Now, Nigeria was well represented at the just concluded China African Mining Investment Forum, held in China's fourth largest city, Tianjin. Minister of State, Mines and Stills Development, Abubakar Bawa Buhari at the conference said China is now one of Nigeria's most reliable partners as the country expands its diversification drive through the solid minerals sector. Julieta Aino has details.
Attended by mining participants from different parts of the world, Nigeria took center stage at the opening ceremony of the China-Africa Mining Investment Partnership Forum. Minister of State, Mines and Steel Development, Abubakar Bawa Buhari, presented the development prospects of mining in Nigeria.
We don't want our products to be taken in raw form. We want them to come in now, do the processing in Nigeria.
The Nigerian delegation met privately with the Chinese team for a bilateral agreement meeting. The conference ended in the signing of a minerals and metals cooperation agreement between Nigeria and China.
We are urging who will be investors to come into Nigeria to operate as long as they operate in accordance with our laws.
The conference, which was sponsored by the China Geological Survey and the China Mining Association, also featured a mining exhibition. Julieta Aino, NTA News.
The National Judicial Council has approved the establishment of the Corruption and Financial Crimes Cases Trial Monitoring Committee. The committee is to be headed by a former president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Isa Ayo Salami. The body, which has 15 members, will operate from the National Judicial Council Secretariat. The committee has current NBA President Abubakar Mahmoud and former NBA presidents as members. They are Chief Wole Olanipekun, Olisa Abakoba, Joseph Daudu, and Augustine Alege. It also has representatives from the Ministry of Justice and Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. There are also representatives of non-governmental organizations. Demutualization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange almost at conclusion stage as experts react to the Monetary Policy Committee's decision to retain key monetary indicators. Let's now join Amechi Payos for the details of this on Business News.
Hello and nice to have you join us on Business News. The president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Abimbola Ogunbanjo, has described the demutualization of the exchange as a realistic venture with immense benefits to the investing public. He said brokers who had worked tirelessly will now have the opportunity to realize value for hard work. He told NTA News in an interview at a forum held in Lagos in his honor that the NSC under his watch will focus on enhancing the retail market and promote corporate governance to deepen the market.
So I'm looking very, very much forward to our legislators passing that bill and activating the demutualization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Oscar Onyema, at the 56th Annual General Meeting, says although market fundamentals are strong, that a lot needs to be done to reposition the exchange to reflect activities in the economy.
If you recall, the market cap was about 84 billion US dollars when this round of crisis started. And in our recovery, we've gone a little under half of that. So we still have significant upsides.
Reactions have continued to trail the decision by the Monetary Policy Committee to maintain key monetary indicators. The committee, at the end of a two-day meeting, retained monetary policy rate, MPR, at 14%, cash reserve ratio at 22.5%, liquidity ratio at 30%. While a financial analyst, Johnson Chukwu, believes that the challenge is that the nation will witness slow economic recovery, the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Muda Yusuf, says manufacturers are stuck with high interest rate, which also affects financial intermediation.
The policy environment is such that there's no latitude for the policymakers to drive down rates as to increase the rate of economic recovery or to push up rates as to moderate inflation.
So we need to have a complete rethink at the entire monetary policy framework to ensure that we have some innovative and creative strategies beyond what we have on ground to ensure that we create an environment where we make funds and credit available at a much cheaper rate to those who are investors in this economy.
The federal government of Nigeria 100 billion naira 7-year tenured Sukuk offer, which closed Friday last week, has been oversubscribed. Director General of the Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, said the acceptance of the offer was an indication of the confidence of the investing public on the Nigerian economy. She commended the federal government, especially the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, for the support which led to the success of the initial offer. Proceeds from the offer, she restated, will be used for the construction and rehabilitation of major roads across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Total subscription to the Sukuk offer was 105,878,320,000. And here are details of movement of stocks at the close of business on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange today.
The exchange maintained its bearish trend as the all-share index finished at 25,103.40. Market capitalization closed low at 12.10 trillion naira. Investors purchased more than 136 million shares at 1.26 trillion naira, traded in 2,860 deals.
And that's business news. Thanks for watching.
Another cutoff point for admission recommended. That's the outlook when we return in just a moment. Don't go away.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem promptly through revival of agriculture.
The 30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
From generation to generation, it has always been there, giving me good nutrition and satisfaction. It's awesome to corner
and to inform for Nigerians
this peak, I know you'll always be there for me.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of Made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
The production and distribution of counterfeit medicine and adulterated food products have negative impact on our health and economy as a whole. I urge all Nigerians to support NAFDAC in safeguarding our health. God bless Nigeria.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
You're welcome back. It's NTA News Extra this Wednesday. Now, road safety is everybody's business, and that is why the Federal Road Safety Commission seems to be bringing something new on board to propagate the road safety message. The latest on the bandwagon is a sensitization forum for security and strategic agencies on Nigeria road safety strategy. Oyeyemi Ajayi was there.
Road traffic crashes have continued to be a source of concern, not just in Nigeria, but the world over. However, more than 90% of road traffic deaths and injuries occur in low or middle income countries, including Nigeria.
From many partners to an extent.
As part of efforts of tackling these recurring incidents, the Nigeria Road Safety Strategy (NRSS) was developed as a strategy to address death, maiming, and economic loss on the nation's highway.
The NRSS is therefore a comprehensive global best practice roadwork document on road safety in Nigeria from 2016 to 2020, which all Nigerians should support.
The forum was to familiarize major road management stakeholders with the implementation of the NRSS and also intimate them on their roles in ensuring serious reduction in road crashes in the country, in accordance with the United Nations Decade of Action for Road Safety 2011 to 2020. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. Yes, JAMB. And yes, JAMB again. From cut-off point to more cut-off points and illegal admissions. Well, if you're running an institution of higher learning that seems not to bother with entry qualification, then sit up. JAMB Registrar Professor Ishaq Oloyede has read the Riot Act, and it will no longer be business as usual for institutions offering admissions just like that. Professor Oloyede read the Riot Act at a policy meeting with the body Innovative Enterprise Institutions. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, please tell us more about the meeting, which I understand also came up with another cutoff point.
Issues bordering on minimum cutoff marks, other paper requirements, closing date for 2017-2018 admission into the 31 Innovative Enterprise Institute were extensively deliberated and agreed on by both parties.
We agreed on 100. That is to give access to each and every candidate that has sat for JAMB.
Training of participants on the use of central admission process system for ease of admission process also featured prominently.
What CARS does is automation of the process, whereby admission officers will not need to travel all the way to Abuja because they want to do admission. You are aware of the presidential order that public institutions should make their services more efficient. So what we are actually clamoring for, since which JAMB has just done, is to give more attention to innovation enterprise institutions.
The IEI are registered vocational institutes that offer tertiary education and certificate to students whose mode of admission is different from that of universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
Now, activities marking the 2017 International Week for the Deaf has ended in Abuja with a town hall meeting calling for full inclusion of sign language in public programs and activities for the benefit of persons living with disabilities. Akimat Aliyu was there and now reports.
A deaf person who only understands sign language, they are always put in the dark when this is not available. The town hall meeting, which had people from the deaf community and others, seeks to address these and other issues. It was also an avenue to rub minds. Facilitator of the gathering speaks on the central message, which is the inclusion of sign language, which is the language of people with hearing problems.
Deaf people are part of our community. The society should see it very, very important to include them at all levels of life. Deaf people should be able to benefit from it through the use of sign language.
The deaf community outlined some of the challenges they face, which was narrated by a sign language interpreter.
The greatest challenge is sign language interpreters, especially in my place of work. And hearing people are so many and are talking, and I feel abandoned. Hearing people find it difficult to learn sign language because it is not their own language.
When you have a deaf child, there's a lot of challenges with the society, the school.
In Nigeria, when people see deaf people inside the bus, they'll be so surprised. What are they doing? It is more about more communication and more awareness.
They called on the media, the government and the general public to understand their plight by including sign language in all their activity. In Abuja, Hakimat Aliyu, NTA News.
Thank you, Hakimat. Now, open-mindedness and prayers are said to be key to strengthening relations between Methodists and Catholics. This was at a first-of-its-kind joint service of Methodist and Catholic bishops for dialogue and mutual understanding held in Abuja. Lydia Basi was there.
To quote Pope John Paul II's encyclical letter of 1995, dialogue is not simply an exchange of ideas. In some ways, it is always an exchange of gifts. Reflecting on this statement, Bishop John Namaza Niyiring, Catholic Bishop of Kano, centered his message of oneness. Prelate, Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Samuel Uche Kanu, endorsed dialogue as a means of breaking barriers that cause disunity among Nigerians.
And I want to thank that man with ecumenical spirit, Cardinal John Onaikan, for agreeing with me, dialoguing with the Muslims and people of other faiths. But we must present a united front and speak with one voice about the ills of the country and also contribute our quota to nation building.
40 years of dialogue between the World Methodist Council and the Catholic Church has brought about a growing sense of significant progress in universal unity at all levels of church life. In Abuja, Lydia Basi, NTA News.
Now, Hajj operations in Nigeria have created a level playing ground for the indigenous airlines to thrive and compete favorably with their counterparts the world over, making the country proud in aviation industry. One of such players is Medview Air, which has been participating in the airlift of Nigerian pilgrims to Saudi Arabia for over a decade now. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports from Makkah.
In the past decades, Nigerian Airways was the leading airline airlifting the country's pilgrims for annual discharge of the religious obligation. However, shortly before and since after the liquidation of the national carrier, both international and indigenous airlines took over the airlift exercise. Record has shown that a number of those international and indigenous carriers that participated left the operations, probably due to lack of capacity and other factors. 11 years down the line, the Medview airline, which ventured into the Hajj airlift by way of rescuing abandoned international pilgrims in 2006, is presently one of the leading carriers that metamorphosed into a full-blown airline, airlifting the conventional pilgrims both during the annual Hajj and the occasional lesser Hajj, employing more than 400 workers, majority of them Nigerians.
We must identify our job. My business is to sign an agreement to say, I'll take you from point A to B and I return you in this position. If I fail, there should be a sanction.
Mediview Air not only airlift pilgrims, but also ensure their welfare and the fulfillment of the religious obligation by distributing Hajj uniform, the Ihram.
We are trying to leave an history for people to see that it's durable, it's possible, with commitment and sincerity. And you have a passion for something, you are committed and dedicated, God's behind you, everything will work out.
Aviation experts believe that if this kind of tempo can be maintained, improved upon, and more indigenous airlines can emerge and play the game according to the rules, in the very near future, aviation industry in Nigeria will be taken further to a greater height. In Makkah, Saudi Arabia, Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
The Buhari Campaign Organization hereby announces the postponement of its annual lecture and mass rally scheduled to hold on the 27th to the 28th of September 2017. The national coordinator of the organization, Alhaji Aladi Garba Pasali, says a new date will be announced while inconveniences are highly regretted. Well, so far so good. Just one more commercial break and it's foreign news, sports and Thursday's weather forecast. Stay with us.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
You're welcome back. And a bit on sports now. Gennett Roll allays fears over Gambia ahead of World Cup qualifier in Uyo as Nigeria and Ghanaian golfers set to square up in the Nigeria at 57 Championship in Abuja. The details with Kene Emabodike on Sports Update.
The battle for 2018 FIFA World Cup ticket in Russia hot up as Super Eagles of Nigeria and Chipolopolo of Zambia released the list of their invited players for the crucial encounter in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State come October 7. Speaking to Kayode Adeniyi in Accra, Ghana, Super Eagles technical advisor Gennett Roll said Nigeria will not leave any stone unturned in her quest to pick the ticket, allaying fears about Zambia being informed currently.
It will not be easy, but we know that we have also a good team who did very well against Cameroon and who did very well in Zambia already because we won there 2-1.
Over 250 amateur golfers from IBB International Golf and Country Club Abuja and their counterparts from Achimota Golf Club of Ghana are set to